2020 CPC meeting. We have a relatively short agenda. It's mainly comprised of the items we didn't get to in our last meeting that ran on for a long time. So that's the goal, is to bang this out and let Meg go finish her things and me go have dinner and the rest of us have a night. So with that, we have an agenda item number 1, which is review of our November 18th, which is our most recent meeting minutes. And Meg, you forwarded those, or Amy forwarded them from Meg to everybody. Has everybody had a chance to review those meeting minutes? Anybody have any comments or questions on the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of September 16th.
November 18th, correct?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think we have the 16th ones, do we? No. Oh, yeah, Mike, these are the November 18th.
November 18th, okay.
Yeah. We're gonna make up, we don't have the 16th, let's table that.
So the motion is approve the November 18th minutes.
A second. A motion is second. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you. Thanks, Meg. I know that's a lot of work. I appreciate that. So agenda item number 2, grant extension requests. And I believe we have 3 requests in front of us. Stephen Huntley, can I just ask you to clarify that your intent is requesting for Chestnut Street, not Pine Street, or do you want us to address both?
Just Chestnut, not Pine, correct.
Okay.
We're going to withdraw Pine ultimately.
Okay, thank you. So we have 3 requests. The Holyoke Boys and Girls Club, which is seeking an extension. Originally she said, most recently said Christmas. Today I just checked in with her to make sure, and she asked if we could just bounce it back to the end of January. So we have a request from the Holyoke Boys and Girls Club to extend the deadlines to the end of January 2021. And then the other 2 requests are Stephen Huntley with Valley Opportunity Council, the Chestnut Street project, and Stephen, you're basically asking for a 12-month extension on each of those deadlines in your project schedule. And the 3rd request that we have in front of us is for MIFA Victory Theater and Don Sanders. And again, I think we have an extension request for 12 months to push the deadlines back 12 months. You know, I don't know how the committee, we want to take them as a package. We want to take them individually. So
I think that they are all somewhat different in that, you know, my recollection is that we had asked the law department to give us an opinion about how we needed to handle various of these. And the opinion came back and said that both the Valley Opportunity Council and the MIFA, if we determined to do it, would have to go back to City Council for reapproval. And I don't know what the determination is on the Boys and Girls Club, but that may have been one where we have the discretion to extend if we like, and we can just do it. You know, I don't know if anyone else remembers the status of that one. I hadn't been following it.
So the language of the agreement allows for the CPC to extend at our discretion for good cause shown the dates of the Boys and Girls Club. And recall, we have already given them 1 short-term extension. So, you know, pandemic related, difficulty in getting scoreboard. So, you know,
I don't think that there's a problem with the cause for the extension. They've been working diligently and they're almost done. I think the underlying problem where there is an underlying problem is the scope, not of the contract, but of the authorization from the city council. And I don't think there's a problem with the Boys and Girls Club. I don't think that we sent the city council an approval request that set forth, this contract will dissolve if these dates are not met. And I believe we did do that, and we are constricted with the other two. But if my recollection for the Boys and Girls Club is accurate, we can just take care of that tonight, assuming that the committee is comfortable with the extension.
I agree.
Mike Falsetti, you would like to add something?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I agree with Mimi. I would just like to get, as far as the Hoyok Boys and Girls Club is concerned, grant them the extension. It's for another month or two, and that will put that baby to bed. It's a great project. It's not going to be more money. It's just extension of time. So I would like to grant them the extension if everybody else agrees.
I agree with Mike 100%. It's a project that's 95% completed. The other ones are a little more controversial because they haven't really got off the ground yet. So.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
I agree. I would be happy to give them the extension and get that done.
All right, so I'd make a motion to approve the extension for the Boys and Girls Club
To the end of January.
to the end of January, right?
Seconded.
Any further discussion on the request for the Boys Club extension? All right, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Right. Stephen Huntley, since you were,
So Amy has her hand up.
oh, I'm sorry. So,
Important. I just wanted to let you know that this laptop that we purchased, unfortunately, the IT department has not been able to figure out the problems. And I'm noticing that there are some problems even right now. So I just wanted to let you know that there's a chance that if someone tries to join the meeting, I've made everybody in the committee a co-host. You can admit them. I may not be able to because of the slowness of my computer.
okay,
Thanks,
thank
Amy.
you.
Okay, thanks.
We'll keep an eye on that. So Stephen, you were patient enough to wait through our whole last long meeting. So out of appreciation to that, I would suggest that we take up the Valley Opportunity Council request for a 12-month extension next. I guess first, let me just ask the committee, do you have any comments about their request, or would you prefer to have Stephen give a quick presentation about his request before, and then ask questions or comment after? How's everybody feeling about that? Let Stephen go.
Let him go.
All right, Stephen, go ahead. You have the floor.
I apologize if I shared my screen prematurely. I'm just all doing it with the hope of getting Meg out at 6:45.
Thank you.
Appreciate
So-
you.
Excuse me. Just right here is for Franklin and Chestnut Street is the one we're requesting. The other column to the right that I'm not sure if you can see or not, the 1, 2, 3 Pine, we're ultimately going to withdraw this. I just have to figure out what that looks like, how to do that. And I want to do everything all, of course, above board, et cetera. But Pine Street has fallen away from this tax credit project. So this is a 4% tax credit project, which means it's less competitive than the other 9% tax credit projects. We were awarded the money back on the 19th of March in 2019. We thought we had a good shot at the first round. And then we were told no one ever gets funded on the first round by DHCD, so we weren't. We believe they gave us a laundry list of things that they thought would catch us up. We've done them and more. So right now we have construction documents at 80%. They wanted to see 65, 70%. And really you can't go much beyond 80% without bringing in a contractor. Otherwise you're wasting time is sort of what's been told to me, because there's a lot of conditions you're not going to see until you open walls up, et cetera. So that's why we're asking for a 12-month extension for the critical dates in the contract, meaning 50% completion instead of January 2021. We're asking for 2022. And again, I'm extraordinarily premature in an effort not to run this to the end and then feel like I'm, coming back to you with like a promise of something that may or may not be there. So once it was made clear to me that the dates on it weren't going to work, I wanted to come to you all and talk it through. And so, I mean, based on the note, the most recent date is January of 2021. But that's just to provide funding update, the first funding update. So, I mean, I could provide that now. We're going to apply for a one-stop that's due in, I believe, February. So, I mean, it isn't critical to be extended immediately, but I did want to get it out on the table and talk through the process.
And when would you know whether you're going to be funded this round?
We expect to know in May, June. If they follow the typical routines that they've followed the last couple of years.
Yeah, does it really, as I'm sure you know, because you've been so patient through our last round of discussions, if we do extend this, we're going to have to send it back to the city council for approval. So it's just as well that you're getting this in early. But, it seems like that same sort of fishing bait, if we extend this to you and we can bring in substantial amounts of money from other sources based on it, we're not holding up the funds for that long waiting to see what the result is.
Right. And in regards to our application, we have a commitment of CPA funds. So in regards to the one-stop application, I can use that commitment and say we have committed CPA funds. It's the behind the scenes stuff where I don't want anyone to feel like we're doing sketchy stuff behind the scenes to slow play anything or anything like that. So that's why I wanted to come forward early on and just talk through where we are, what we're doing, and what our lawyers are telling us is a extension that we will need.
So, Stephen, if you would know in June if it got it or didn't, then is it really such that we would sort of rewrite it so that the money would be re-released back, unencumbered effectively at that point?
I'm sorry, you cut out, Meg. It may be a key word. I wasn't sure
I'm just wondering, so you think you will find out in May or June if they will actually get the funding?
Correct.
So if you don't get the funding for the project, then at that point, would we have language in the contract that the money would then is a no-go because you would never be able to meet any deadlines after that?
So we would figure out why we didn't get it. We'd have a debrief as to why we weren't successful, and we would find out what the process would be if it's reasonable and feasible fixes to it. And then
to submit it in a
frankly,
future funding cycle?
Yes, to either submit it in a future funding cycle or find an alternative source. Or an alternative path is a better way of saying it. Source implies one. Is there a different way we can try and do this? Do we stage the project differently? So right now, our intention and our goal is to do everything on the list. And if we're not successful, we would think long and hard about, all right, what needs to be done and how can we sequence it? We don't need to do 38 new bathrooms and kitchens. There's the equity where how do you pick which tenants get it and don't get it? And I took good care of my kitchen, so now I don't get a new one type of conversation. All of that stuff comes to light. You hate to say it or do it, but that's ultimately what will likely be the phase 2 of our conversation if we're unsuccessful this round. And we'll think about, all right, well, maybe we don't need to do any kitchens. Let's do some structural, let's do some, brick pointing, let's do, piecemeal it over multiple years instead of a one-time, this building is going to be beautiful and like brand new from now and forever.
So in that case, and I think this is where Meg was going with this, would you be thinking about it as this is really a new project and it wouldn't be a problem if the CPA funding went away and you had to apply again with your new project that was somewhat different from the one time that you're going through for now?
Well, let me back up on the timeline to a touch. So if it's awarded in June, traditionally it takes 6 to 8 months for the money to close, and then we can start construction. That's really one of the biggest hiccups in this that makes no sense at all. But there are a series of calls with 5 lawyers representing 5 entities that all have money in. It's really kind of a silly process, but it's ultimately how it goes. So we wouldn't start construction probably until a year from March, if we're successful this round.
But if you are successful this round, just to be clear, you'll know it, even though you know that it's also going to be 8 months before
Yes.
you can get everything in order. So
Yes.
we would know it, and we would know that, yes, you need the funds that we've committed to you. Whereas if you're not successful, presumably that grant is going away and you're reconsidering your entire project, and you don't have an immediate need for the commitment from us because you're going to have to submit a different project anyway. I think what I'm thinking about is we all, we want to see this succeed, obviously. We liked the project, we voted for the funds once. But if it isn't going to succeed, how long do you contemplate our having these funds essentially escrowed? I mean, you have other projects that could be using them, so you understand the issue.
Oh, absolutely. I understand. We're contemplating other projects as well, too. There's always a look around to see what the next great project is. Absolutely.
So, Mimi, can I jump in here?
Oh, please.
So what we're looking at here is what if we made it, if I'm understanding the rest of the committee, that we granted an extension, right? Based, conditioned upon the approval no later than June 30th of the rest of the funding. If you don't get it by June 30th, the extension's null and void.
So can I just add that I think with the Library Commons, we made a date of, I can't remember if it was September 1st or September 30th, if they hadn't, as a condition, they hadn't received notice of funding. It's the same application process, right? So
Yes.
why don't we ought to be consistent and use that same date instead of June, use that September date. So we're basically adding in a new condition and then extending all of the other dates by 12 months. Mike, is that?
Well, no, Steve said they'd know in May or June whether they've got the.
But traditionally that's when they announce it, but it's an unusual year is the only thing I would throw out there. And I would appreciate the same dates that Library Commons threw out, whatever that was, September, late September. And then, if we are funded this round, the whole reason for the conversation is if we are funded for this round, we still can't meet some of these dates. So I think that's part B of what you were saying, Kip.
Yeah, no, I don't think that that's any problem, though. If you are funded, then we're in a different world and we understand about construction.
Okay.
And presumably all the dates would be extended, but none of that is relevant if you're not funded. And, the concern here is not having that money tied up when you aren't going to be funded and we know it, but we don't have the automatic dissolution provision in the contract.
Right.
So
no, I get it. And really what's new to when we submitted this application too was the idea that the application for a one-stop was an emergency. That idea never occurred to me. So we were going through the traditional cycle, which didn't completely align with what our cycle was. So we were submitting this application 8 months before we should have up front, getting city council approval March of 2019, when in fact, we should have been waiting till March of 2020, quite frankly, but then that would have disqualified our 2020 application because we need an award letter in the fall, early winter. So knowing that the emergency process is in place does make life simpler for this, and it does give me optimism about if we're unsuccessful and this sunsets, that we can apply in November for an emergency process similar to what Wayfinders did, and not be out another year, not lose out on a year because of a couple of months here or there. Does that?
So Stephen, does it make sense to you that there's a extension of the dates by 12 months with an additional condition of funding by the same date as Wayfinder? So if you don't get it, it's just like Wayfinders, it goes away, it doesn't matter. But if you do get it, all these dates have already been extended. We don't have to go back to the city council another time with it.
That
Does
makes
that
perfect
work?
sense to me if that works for all of you. Yeah, for sure.
All right. I want to make that motion. Let's move this along. So I would, my motion is to extend the existing dates by 12 months and insert a new condition of notice of funding by that September 1st, 2021.
Yes.
A
And
second?
all of this,
Of-
yeah,
Second,
Of what is it, September 1st?
I think whatever, I believe it's September 1st is the date that we gave to Library Commons and Wayfinders for this exact same condition.
Okay.
Seconded it?
I don't know if we have a second yet. Did we get a second?
okay, go ahead, Megan.
All right, so a first and a second. Any more discussion on that? Anybody have anything else they want to add?
Okay.
just the underlining of, I assume we're voting to approve this, but everyone here understands that this is to be submitted to the city council in the due course for their approval.
Good, right, correct. So this agreement very clearly spells out can be extended with on the recommendation of the CPC and the approval of the city council. So I think that's
Okay.
clear. So that's a motion and a second discussion. Anybody else have anything they want to add to this? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all set. Stephen, thank you very much. You're all set.
Thank you.
We're going to have the law department's going to have to draft up, an amendment to the agreement, but Amy, you'll work on that with them.
And we're going
Thank
to
you.
have to draft up articles for the city council.
Yeah.
That too.
Is there a sense when that meeting would be? I believe they only meet once in December. Is that right, Councilor Sullivan, or is there two meetings?
Well, the first meeting was last night, so there's only one meeting left.
One additional meeting. That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Um,
So
This,
it's unlikely for that meeting. We're thinking January. Just
well,
that-
we'll see. This one, since it's not a new project and it's already been approved once by the council, I'll give it another shot and see if we can do it on the floor that night.
oh,
That'd be
okay.
great, Mike.
You've had some good luck.
Yep.
I will.
Mike, would you like Counselor Sullivan, would you like some kind of a write-up on this?
No, they've seen this one. Everybody knows what it is. I gotta tell them it's a simple extension with one provision.
I do think that it would be worth our memorializing the terms though in writing, because we know from experience that we occasionally lose track of what we've done and need to have some written record.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe I could do a quick thing. And I did check Library Commons and the date was September 1st, 2021. So what you've all voted on or to recommend is that, if I understand correctly, is that they must have received the additional funding to know the project's going forward by this date,
Okay, good.
correct?
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you all very much. Happy holidays.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas.
All right, and now the third request for an extension is MIFA and $100,000 for the sconces. Don Sanders is here. I think the request again is for a 12-month extension. The contract language here allows the CPA to grant an extension, but we do have legal advice from the solicitor's office that we should follow the same protocol as Valley Opportunity Council, which would be to, if we so wish, the will of the committee to make a recommendation to the city council and let the city council decide whether or not to grant the extension. So,
So,
so
just
that's where we are. Open the floor to discussion, questions. Don is here if anybody has any questions for Don.
I feel like I need to just go back and do the brief history because this one is a big mess. You know, if it is the will of the committee to extend, you know, I would strongly suggest that we condition any extension on going back, reopening the contract and rewriting it so that we are 100% sure that it accurately reflects the terms on which it was originally granted. Because, you know, I feel terrible about this. You know, we made a commitment to the city council. We are so beyond. I mean, the original dates, and there are records of it everywhere, were the funding was to be complete by December 2019. The project was to be complete this month. And the original agreement was that if that funding date were missed, obviously the rest of it was going to be futile, and the funding was supposed to come back to the CPA. Now, somewhere in there, for whatever reason, that date got lost in the shuffle, and we signed a contract saying 2020 and 2021. Moreover, despite the fact that it was understood that the termination was supposed to be automatic if the funding date were missed, and not just, you know, able to string it along. I mean, there were supposed to be 2 automatic termination dates, essentially. And we managed to sign a contract where that was sufficiently ambiguous that the contract can apparently be read so that, you know, if we were not beyond our authority to start out with, which we already are, you know, we could extend that funding date. And, you know, ideally, because this was an early contract and there was just a lot of confusion, if we are going to extend these things, and this is going to be a difficult one to extend because frankly, you know, if we just extended the funding date as the MIFA request has it, it's going to, I mean, this contract will go away in next year anyway, because if they don't have the funding now, they're certainly not going to have the theater up and running in 2021. And, you know, I think we need to, because of these constraints, lay this all out for the city council, explain what happened, see if it is their will as well as the committees, if it is the committees, to grant a series of extensions that would actually have some hope of being successful, and then rewrite the entire contract to make every bit of it explicit so that this never happens again. And with that, I yield the floor.
Wow, that was well put.
Thank you.
I don't have anything to add to it.
Mike Falsetti?
This is got a life of itself. He's looking for a 1-year extension. The city, as Mimi and Mike confirmed, the city council is going to have to give it their blessing and their all before to make it happen. And we're going to have, the city solicitor is going to have to rewrite it and tighten it up, as Mimi pointed out. But for this evening's discussion, I think we should just grant the extension and basically, legally speaking, kind of start over. It's a matter of, we're not talking more money or time. Well, we're talking more time, but the nature of the project is the same. It's not additional money. It's an extension in time. And there was, as Mimi pointed out, some confusion on the dates. They have to be tightened up for the city solicitor's job to make it approvable for the city council. But for tonight's meeting, I don't know what my colleagues feel about it. We should just grant the extension in time. It's not money, it's time. And let our story unfold by way of the lawyers and city council.
Well, and I will remind everyone that, you know, we also now have a policy of reviewing contracts before they're executed. So I do think that amending this contract to clarify all of these points is an excellent idea. I'm also in support of granting an extension. So, you know, with
If
that,
there-
I'd like to make a motion to, to grant a 12-month extension to the dates with the understanding that contract will be revised and approved by the committee before it's
And
executed.
I want to clarify that if this is going to happen, there is going to be a December 2021. If you don't have the funding by then, 100% of it executable now, this goes away automatically.
Right.
And
Okay.
That's within the contract.
That's contract language, let the city solicitor
Well,
write it up and.
we let the city solicitor write it last time and we all let it go by without correcting it.
Right, so we'll.
And I want to make sure that the reference to the city council includes this.
We are all on the same page on that. I see everybody nodding their heads.
Right.
Okay.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor of granting the extensions with the conditions as discussed? All right, Don, thank you.
Okay. I want to go on.
That's enough.
Thank you.
I am a no on this.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Amy, you have a question for Don under this agenda item or?
No,
something
more
else?
a question, and if you want to discuss this at another meeting, you can, but this might be important for this particular contract if it ends up being approved by city council. Is just that most CPA communities have sort of at least a ballpark number of years that a project has to be completed. Not just the funding, but construction, everything completed, and it's usually 3 years.
Okay.
So I understand that if the full funding isn't received by December 1st, 2021, this grant automatically terminates. But is there anything that you want to think about in terms of the construction deadline or
That is the 100% of the entire project is complete by the final date. That was supposed to be in there.
Right, so we'll add that, have the solicitor add in a date. We'll review it.
Yeah, that's the 2021 existing date. It was supposed to be opening this month. Actually, it was supposed to be opening this month a year ago, but there we are.
Okay.
Right, but now that you have
If it's
recommend
1
this
year, then it
change.
becomes 2022.
Just add just 12 months to all the dates.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It would be December 2022
Thank you.
for the full construction
Yeah.
to be complete.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
I just love to, what can I say? I thank you for, the extension. I also want to say on Saturday, this coming Saturday, the official construction begins with the beginning of the demolition of 134 Chestnut Street. So I think you can appreciate nobody more than I wants to have us all enjoy the opening of this theater. And I had said when I started this project that I am committed to this and I'm going to see it open, and I stick by my word. I thank you for appreciating and being able to understand how complex it is. But the demolition of 134 starts on Saturday, being done by Scott Curran, our own Scott Curran here in town.
Yes.
So
Right.
that I think you should take as a very good sign. And
Congratulations.
thank you.
All right, so let's move on to the next agenda item. Don, go ahead, Mike, you have something?
Yeah, one quick question. If I understand now from what we just went through on the grant extension request, that per Steve Huntley, 150,000 is now coming back into the coffers.
That's right. Out of the Pine Street project.
Yep.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Amy, you have something quickly?
Yeah, just quickly.
We're trying to get Meg out of here in 8 minutes.
No, I know, but this is kind of important. Mike, Counselor Sullivan, I think I would probably have to write something up about the MIFA Victory Theater so that it's clear. And of course, I'd like, maybe Mimi to look at it too. How soon would you need that?
Well, once again, I'll do the same thing. I'll try to do it on the floor. If somebody makes a motion to send it to committee, you know,
So when is that next meeting?
the next meeting is on the 15th.
Okay, so that's not a lot of time. So, Mimi, do you think I can send you what I've done and you can look
Yeah.
it over? Okay, I just want to make sure that it's correct.
Yeah, and I'm sure Jenna will be willing to help too.
Right. We're at, Steve, you have a quick question? I see you jump back on there. You have something you want to?
I just wondered if there's a process for withdrawing an award. If you guys have a specific process you'd like to see how to best do it. Should it go through the council? Should it come to you folks? And I don't need an answer. I just am throwing it
Okay.
out.
How about if we get back to you on that?
Yep, perfect.
Let's
Thank
get
you.
back to you on that. You're welcome. Thank you. All right. So, so the next agenda item is a CPA project map, which probably most of you have no idea what that is. Very quick update. Izzy, maybe a month or so ago, sent an email asking if we could develop a map with the locations and a brief description of each of the projects that have been funding in the city. So I reached out to Marcos Marrero knowing that they had something similar for the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority. And so Marcos is working with Amy to help develop this map, and it would be something that we hopefully can get onto our website. There'll be little flags on a map. You can click on it. It'll tell you how much it is and what the project was. So I thought that was a really great idea from Izzy. And, we've got some technical hurdles as always, and Amy's struggling with her computer still. So, but we'll get it done. And it's more just an update. There's no action required by the committee.
That's good to know about. That's a very cool thing.
It's interesting. So
Thanks, Amy, for really helping with Marcos to put that all together. And Kip, you also for instigating. Well, and Izzy, it was a great idea.
Yeah, would that go on our website?
That was Izzy's idea, and I thought it was a great idea too.
It is.
The only thing I don't know is if Marcos is still around, because he's leaving in January. So I don't know if he'll be able to continue to help with that.
I think he will.
Well, we'll find somebody in the office to do it. He isn't there.
Out to Aaron Vegas.
We'll get it done one way or another. So 4 minutes. We have the 2021 eligibility applications. Amy has sent everybody a summary of those. We've read them. I don't know if, we're going to eat up time talking about them or whether people are comfortable with what they've read, they understand. And really, we have some eligible projects and applications will be coming in all the categories. And we can go through and talk about it for half an hour about what they are and the amounts and the rest. I don't know how people feel about that. It's basically just information at this point. You have those, Amy, on our website?
On the website, no, but I sent you all the information, and I could just give you a very quick update. Just not an update, but just to say that there's 6 eligibility applications. The Mayor Field Improvement for open space there's only one. And then for historic, there's the Wisteria Hearst additional electrical repairs, the fire truck restoration, the JFK Memorial, the War Memorial Building, and then Pulaski Park, which the update is that we've determined that that's really a historic project, and that's for $40,000.
So Amy, do you feel that there are any projects in that list that are not eligible or where the eligibility is questionable?
No, I don't. But like with the Pulaski Park, I noticed there was a cracked sidewalk, which I'm not sure if that's part of the work that they're doing. So I might have to ask about the sidewalk.
So in Mike McManus's response, the reason why he had posted that was because he was concerned that the crack on the sidewalk might mean there was a deeper foundational issue with the retaining wall.
Right.
Not just the wall itself, but the land underneath it. So that's why he sent that picture. the sense that I got from his application, which I did not get the first time I scanned through, was that it's not necessarily for the work itself, but for a lot of the planning around the work that would need to occur to actually fix historically that wall. And perhaps that they can actually do the work to kind of do the view work, right? In terms of like taking out all the invasive species that have started to grow up along the river there. But yeah, so it's a different scope of work. And I feel like they're still defining that scope of work for that application.
Yeah, it's an engineering plan, which he said would be following the original historic.
Yeah, but you know what I'm thinking here is if there are no material questions about the eligibility for all of these, then we could presumably just vote that we find that they all appear to be eligible, and if they want to send the full application, go for it.
Oh, I've already informed them of that, and they're already working on their applications.
Okay, then we have nothing further to do with the eligibility applications.
So the only thing that I would ask is, Amy, maybe it makes sense to put that on our website, what the eligibility applications are, which, you know, we will be, just so that we're kind of rushing through them here. But if there's people in the public that want to understand in greater detail what these projects are, those 3 tables that you put together are very informative. Maybe we can just get that on the website or.
Sure.
And then, so, okay. Anything else on eligibility applications, anybody? All right, we have one last agenda item, which is the eligibility of CPA housing assistance funds for single and multifamily homeowners. And I think this was something out of Mike Falsetti discussion and concerns about, you know, were homeowners able to apply for housing assistance funds the way, you know, renters and I think in our last 2 meetings ago, Amy, we asked if you could just check with, you know, Stuart on that or do research and come up with.
I have the answer to that question.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yeah, I looked back, and as long as the assistance is going to deed restricted affordable housing, the funds can be used for mortgages, for assistance for mortgages, as long as it's not market rate. It has to be a deed restricted affordable home.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mike, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Perfectly. Couldn't be better.
All right. Thank you, Amy. Go ahead, Amy. You have something else you want to?
Well, just under the other, there's a quick thing to do with the fencing project that I don't think will take long at all.
Okay.
If we're on to that.
Okay, so we'll just make sure we're finished with that answer. Did anybody else have any questions on the eligibility for deed restricted, you know, assistance with mortgages? We're finished.
My only piece on the eligibility piece, Amy, is just that given that we only have one other project in open space and recreation for this round, but we already approved or, you know, recommended to the city council the Scotts Tower project. So does that then fall underneath like satisfying that 10%?
You don't have to satisfy any 10%. In fact, you could not fund an entire category. It's just a way that we ensure that there is a certain amount. It's a budgetary thing. So it doesn't matter if you could decide no open space at all. It's completely, it's just that each year 10% is reserved for that.
I was just wondering if it, even though that it was emergency versus the regular process, if that would be, okay.
Yes, it does, yes. So we're 2 minutes over. Now, look, so I don't have anything else in other. Does anybody else have anything in the other categories that they wanted to? Okay, so go ahead, Amy.
Yeah.
Okay. Just quickly about the community field fencing, which that project was already done, although they do need the 3,000 because I think she was sort of had to front the money herself or something. And Laura Ferreter is totally ready to create a sign of some sort. She already told the fencing contractor that, so she was aware of that. And I, you know, so I just wanted to, there was some back and forth on email about whether, you know, since she is okay with doing that, how do people feel?
Well, she did it, so.
Well,
she hasn't done it yet, but I just want to know if, do you want, you know, since she's able to do it and she's ready to do it.
Yeah, no, I think it is a good thing to have people able to see. I mean, donors like to be acknowledged, and the taxpayers of Holyoke are a donor here, and it is good for them to have, that plaque or whatever she puts up, acknowledging that this is a place that their money went,
So
and thanking them for it.
let me just clarify something. There is a sign up now.
Yeah.
And it does thank the city of Holyoke. So are we asking her to replace that sign with another sign that says Community Preservation Act funding in addition to the, so throw away the sign she's already done
I think she's just adding another sign.
Yeah, she's adding a sign to the fence. It'll say CPA.
Okay.
One
So
sign's
give that a new one for partially CPA funded. Okay, great, no problem. And we don't need a contract with her.
No.
Right.
And so we're basically just waiting for her to get funded.
No, it's done, I think. She's just waiting to get the
Yeah, it's already complete. And also, I think she can easily put together a brief report, which, with all the photos she has, plus I can eventually put that on the website and you can see it. So.
Okay, great.
That's
Ask her to do that.
And there's
Mike,
no need for a contract, yeah.
Mike, you had something?
Briefly, Mr. Chairman, I think one sign is enough. If it acknowledges the city of Holyoke and the taxpayers, we don't need two signs. It's not Central Park. It's a small little park. You don't need two signs. I don't think. It's a little overkill as far as I'm concerned.
What are the two signs? Is one our temporary fabric banner?
No, it's a great sign, actually. And there are pictures of it in various places. I think Amy has one and can email it. But, obviously, she'd been putting together this project and she raised money from a bunch of people, including the city of Holyoke. And it's a lovely, little sign, across the entrance to the park that acknowledges various donors. And it says the city of Holyoke, but I think that the fact that, it's like the library funding. If you go to the library, if it's ever open again, you will find donor names attached to tables and benches and things. And they're little, they're unobtrusive, but people like to be recognized. And I think it's good for the CPA to have some little plaque attached to the fence somewhere. I wouldn't make federal pace over it, but since Laura's doing this anyway, I think it's a good thing.
Can I make a suggestion? Amy, would you ask Laura if it's not heavy lifting for her to, I don't
It's definitely not. She's already said that, she had arranged.
She'll put a new sign up. She doesn't care.
She's just going to put a little sign up that's just an accent.
And she's already doing this.
Yes, she had already planned to do it. So
ask her to do that and we'll just move on.
Yeah,
no problem.
She was happy to do it.
Okay.
We should just thank her for offering.
Yes.
Sure. Anything else under other? Anybody? Okay, so let's talk about our next. Amy, you have something else?
Just a quick update about the annex lanterns, which still have not been installed. I got from Mike McManus today that the electrician was on site 3 weeks ago to see the work that has to be done. But an employee tested positive for COVID, so everyone's quarantining. So that's why there's a delay there.
Okay. Let's talk about our next meeting. Now, we want
no coughing. No coughing.
No, I didn't even think about that. I recently tested though for the first time, and
me too, for the first time.
Really good, so I'm not worried. But it was interesting to get tested. So we're trying to get Meg out of here. Anybody want to meet again in December, or do we just bop to January at this point? I don't know that we have any real pressing.
When do we get the full applications, Amy?
At the end, December 30th is when the full applications are submitted.
And there is
until we have that, is there anything else that we really need to do?
Are you asking?
Nothing that I can't think of that can't wait till January.
So the one thing that I will just say is like sort of preparing for the madness, because I remember like we kind of go into high gear and suddenly we're meeting all the time when we are then looking at the application. So the only thing I think that there's a possibility of wanting to meet about, but it would be short, is just like, what's our timeline? Like going over the calendar. What are our meetings? Are we having a public meeting? Like all that stuff.
I do have a basic outline, which I had talked to the committee about before. If you want to see, we had said late February to March as a possible public meeting based on what we did last year.
Look, my preference would be to wait and meet in early January, you know, the 10th-ish kind of date. I haven't looked on what day of the week that is. And, you know, gather up for the review of 2021 applications. That's really what's going to be on our agenda.
And in the past, we basically had 2 meetings in January, 2 in February, 2 in March.
Yeah, I think. But let's see how it goes. I mean, these are, let's see what the applications look like. And I think we're going to be a lot more efficient at them this time, you know? And I don't think we can have a public meeting. So I don't think we have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, are we going to have a Zoom public meeting of some sort?
I don't know.
Well, we can invite them to one of our meetings if they want to
They're
come.
always invited.
They're always invited.
I know, so.
Yes.
No, no.
So that can be our first item of business when we meet early January to figure out the calendar and that
January
stuff.
6th is the first Wednesday.
Okay.
We usually meet on Wednesdays.
What do we
I'm
think?
not sure I will have read all the applications so soon. You know,
Let's go for the 13th then. Does that work for people? The second, just for, because it's the holidays and people are winding down. And how does that work for people?
That's good.
The 13th?
So far.
Okay.
All right, so let's schedule our next meeting tentatively for the 13th. And our agenda will be mostly focused on 2021 applications and a process for reviewing and making recommendations. And all right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, we ran over a little bit, the 45 minutes, but we made it less
We
than an
did
hour.
good.
All
That's
right,
incentive.
everybody.
Okay,
have a
motion
motion?
to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Second. All in favor? Happy
Aye.
holidays, everybody. See you in
You too.
January.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Merry
Yep.
Christmas.
bye.
Yep.